Now that is how you do senior night.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, March 6, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. We are joined by our guy, Coach Pack Kilby. You have joined us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch. Special shout out, as always, to you everydayers out there. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Pack Kilby, North Carolina obliterated Notre Dame on Tuesday night, 84-51. The Tar Heels run their record to 24-6, 16-3 overall. It is the, regardless of what happens at Duke on Saturday, the best 20-game ACC record for Carolina. They finished the season 14-1 at home. This is a quad 3 win. As of the time we're recording, the Tar Heels are 9th overall, still at KenPom, 27th in offensive efficiency, and 6th, Pat Kilby, 6th in defensive efficiency. And here's where we want to start. This was a senior night that, boy, everyone's going to want to remember. Why? Well, because you had two of the top 10 scorers in Carolina history on the floor together. But, man, this was a special game with a lot of special people and a lot of, we needed this. After the long career of Armando Bacot and RJ Davis, what a way to send these dudes out. Pack, let's just start. You know, there's obviously lots to talk about with senior night, but let's just start with Armando and RJ. What do you make of these guys?
Man, I just don't want to take them for granted. You know, I mean, Armando, golly, there's the jokes about him being at Carolina since the Dean Smith era, but man, it's been like, it feels like he's been here forever, but it also feels like it went by so quick. And, you know, so I'm just trying to appreciate that and what he's done, who he's been, how important he was for the transition from Coach Williams to Coach Davis, and just what he brought in that, and then how he's a Tar Heel through and through. And then with RJ, I mean, there's absolutely no secret. I am the biggest RJ Davis fan in the world, but I'm kind of just I'm hoping that we get one more year with him. I'm not ready to say bye to RJ just quite
That's right.
yet.
That's right. We will certainly find out. But as Coach Davis said on Monday, not till after the season. For Armando, sets an ACC record playing his 162nd career game, passing a guy much shorter than Kihei Clark from Virginia, who finished last year as well. Pack, I want to go to the beginning of the game. And I talked about this some on setting this up on Tuesday's show, and then I talked about this some on the live postcast. So I want to get your thoughts on it. You know, there was all the wonderment of there's 7 seniors that were being honored, not Jalen Withers, but you had Cormac Ryan, Paxson Wojcik, Armando Bacot, RJ Davis, Rob Landry, Dewey Ferris, and Creighton Lebo. So you had 7, and there was a lot of like, how are they going to do that with the starters? Because obviously Carolina starts seniors. And what we ended up seeing was that Coach Davis went with the 5 guys of those 7 who had been Tar Heels their entire college career. Was this the right way to handle it in your mind?
Yeah, I think so. You know, and it's what you just said. You know, these 5 have been here throughout. They've earned the right to start on senior night. And the other thing to think about here too is Paxson and Cormac have already had the opportunity to start games before, whereas Creighton, Rob, and Dewey, this was their one opportunity. And so Coach Davis took advantage of that, and I think that was definitely the right call.
I'm with you. As I thought about it, I don't know that there was any other way to do that, right? Like, anything else wasn't the right call. And I even proposed something else on Tuesday's show. But this was the way to do it. And this is why Hubert Davis like just part of why he is the man to be running this program. Why? Because he bleeds Carolina blue, and he uniquely understood that this was the exact right thing that needed to happen on senior night, to have these guys be the ones leading the way. And, you always wonder about like, hey, what's it going to look like? Or are they going to be down a couple points? Are they going to be up? When they checked out, it was 2-0 Carolina. So we'll absolutely take it. Pack, another part of senior day, and I talked about this as one of the things to watch for in our Four Corners preview yesterday, was how Carolina was able to or was not able to control the emotions of senior day, because that can lead you to starting hot and then having a major dive off the cliff. It's like you're on a sugar high and then it all tanks, or you're just pressing so hard because of the emotion of it that you don't start well, right? Because you're forcing stuff or whatever it is. And then the visitors are like, y'all have fun with your senior day. We're going to be off and running at a 10-0 lead. How do you think Carolina did at managing the emotion of senior day?
Well, I think they did a great job. And obviously the score is an indication of that. But, there's so many, I don't know if distractions is the right word, because it's really a celebration of what they've done for the program. But there's so many things going on outside of the game that it can easily help, it can easily deter you from your focus on your job and your task when you're on the court. And so I think the team managed that really well. And like you mentioned, not just all the things going on, but there's the emotions of it. And how do you handle that? And they definitely, I feel like, channeled it in the right direction of, hey, we need to go take care of business. This is our last home game. We need to handle this the right way. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. And one of the players who had at an even deeper level, obviously, was Cormac Ryan, because not only was this like senior day 2.0 for him, but senior day against the team that he celebrated senior day with last year in Notre Dame coming to town, obviously with the brand new head coach, all of that kind of stuff. But Cormac has this double emotion of it's like when Jalen Withers played against Louisville earlier this year. It's like that kind of thing. When Jalen had a great game in that game, Pack, I thought Cormac played really well in this game. I thought he was aggressive. He attacked. Somebody asked me on the live postcast, one of the listener questions from the live chat was, man, I thought Cormac attacked a lot tonight. Do you think that's a sign of things to come? And I said, it sure needs to be, like getting that version of Cormac Ryan. And he did well shooting. He was 2 of 5 from 3, kicked off the scoring of the second half, had another 3 early in the game. But he was willing to drive and attack and get to the rim. And man, I love that version of Cormac Ryan. That pump fake is going to get guys biting all the more because he's hitting from outside now. And so really above everyone else, in some ways, kudos to Cormac for controlling all of that emotion, Pack.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he played really well, and I don't want to say necessarily that he played with some extra fire, because I feel like he always brings the energy and the heat.
He really does.
But man, he did. You were right. I mean, he was attacking. He shot the ball fairly well. I thought he was aggressive on the boards and looking to get second chances tonight, and just brought what he typically brings defensively, as far as that tenacity, that will, that want to, desire. I think he played really, 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 really well overall tonight, and so very pleased with that. And I know he probably is too, because there's a big part of you that wants to show, your former team when you leave, hey, I'm better off now than where I was. And so there's kind of that chip on your shoulder. And I think he showed that tonight.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. And another part, obviously we haven't talked about this yet, but this win guarantees Carolina at least a share of the 2024 ACC regular season championship. We will find out on Saturday if that is upgraded to outright ACC regular season champions or not. But Pack, for the Tar Heels, this is the 33rd ACC regular season championship all time. Of the previous 32, it's been 21 outright, 11 shared. And so obviously, again, we'll find out which version this is. But Pack, I think you and I have talked about this before, but I care infinitely more, even in an era where it's not true home and home with every team. I still would rather win the ACC regular season than the ACC tournament, because of what it says about your longevity across the course of a season. How do you feel? What are your thoughts on the differences between the two?
Well, I agree with you. I think the regular season ACC championship, it means more because it's a whole body of work. It's not three good games in a tournament that you can just catch fire and play well for a stint. This is the course of half of the season played out in conference play, and so I think that just means more. But I'll tell you,
Hey, this isn't the SEC. You can't say that.
I think that our point is validated by how the NCAA views it. I mean, you look at winning the ACC tournament or winning the ACC regular season championship. It lines you up for a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament or right there at it, in the mix. And that to me is just so much more valuable than just winning a tournament, over the course of a weekend. So I think it has much more value. I think it means good things for Carolina's postseason because it sets you up for future successes.
Well, Pac, we've been begging this team to put together a complete performance, like step on the gas and just drive past their opponent, closing out a game handily. And boy, did they do that on senior night. What a perfect opportunity to do that. We're going to talk about how and why that happened in just a second. Right after I tell you this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Next week is the major conference tournaments, and maybe you're worried about finding last-minute tickets to the ACC tournament to go to a Carolina game because you know that they're going to get there and you're scared there won't be good deals. Good news, though, with Game Time, you are in luck because it's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, a view from your seat. With all of that, Game Time's got you covered. Check out their exclusive flash deal and sponsored deals on tickets for basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. Because if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, where you can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's $20 off your first purchase at Game Time with code LOCKEDON. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Pat Kilby, we are reveling in Carolina's big-time victory over Notre Dame on Tuesday night and clinching at least a share of the ACC regular season championship. And they did it in a beautiful fashion. Quite frankly, one of the most complete performances of the entire season, regardless of opponent. And Pac, what is so great about this is throughout the season, we've been begging this team, pleading like, come on, man, put a team away, full 40 minutes of action. Do not let them hang around first or second half, foot on the throttle. Let's go. Pac, did they accomplish that in this game?
Yes, finally putting a team away. That feels so good. And it's something we've talked about, I feel like, over the last couple of weeks whenever I've joined you on the pod is we've got to stop letting teams hang around. Or not just let them hang around, but we'll build up a lead and then we'll let them back in it. And, tonight we didn't do that. And I know Notre Dame is not the most stellar of opponents. I get that. But the point is we did what we were supposed to do. And this team has that capability of doing that to more than just Notre Dame, but we hadn't yet. And so the fact that we showed that was absolutely a big time. And it's like we talked about last week. We want to be playing our best basketball right now. And I thought today was a really good sign that we're headed in that direction.
I think that's a great point because, I got a lot of, as Carolina was in that 10-game winning streak, I got a lot of the form of this question. Is Carolina peaking too early? People like, and that's a legitimate thing. Like, that's not something to laugh off. It legitimately is hard to sustain that level of success and high level play across, November all the way through April. We saw it with UConn last year. Clearly the most dominant team in all of college basketball, but they went through that stretch in January where they lost 5 of 6, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, clearly they rounded back into form and just blitzed through the NCAA tournament. The only team ever to win all 6 games by at least 10 points. And so, Pack, I love your point there. Carolina is clearly rounding back into that kind of form. Again, as you said, I know it's Notre Dame. I know they're not a great offensive team, but Carolina, let's talk about why this happened, why they were able to put Notre Dame, like get ahead, keep getting further ahead, and then keep extending, like all of that. Well, part of it was the defense. This has been part of Carolina's calling card all season long now. They held Notre Dame to 0.810 points per possession. And Pack, here's what I love. That's now 3 of the last 4 games that the Tar Heels have held their opponent under 1 point per possession. What did you see from the defense in particular that you liked in this game on Tuesday night?
Well, I thought we did a really good job in our ball pressure and, keeping the dribble in front, pushing them out of their comfort zone, but still having that ball pressure and keeping them out of the paint. And that was really indicative, I felt like, in their field goal percentage, holding them to 30.5% from the field and 26.3% from beyond the 3-point line. And so just the fact that we're able to get up in them and pressure them and keep the ball in front of us at the same time, I thought was very, very beneficial. And, I like Elliot and RJ, how much they've improved as on-ball defenders over the course of this season has been remarkable. They've done a very good job of that. And so I'm pleased. I feel like our defense is really starting to ratchet itself up right now and get back to the form that it was at. And so I'm pleased with that. And I think it was a big reason why we were able to pull away the way we did.
Man, it's such a relief after what happened in the past 2 games to hold Notre Dame to 1 of 8 shooting from 3 in the first half. I mean, you think about, and I know this is a completely different Notre Dame team, but the way they've shot from 3 against Carolina through the years under Mike Bray, it's like, of course, they're going to come in and just light it up. But man, they did not. You talked about Elliot and RJ. There were 2 moments I really appreciated about Elliot in particular, and we'll talk one about RJ later as we talk about something else on defense. But there was a run out that Notre Dame got, and I forget the exact play or scenario or score, but Elliot had gotten back on defense. And this is something that, Pack, I've seen him do a lot this season that really impresses me. He did a good job of getting back, walling off, just staying lit, keeping that verticality so well, but doing it while jumping, which you're allowed to do as a defender. You have the right to that verticality. He stayed up, caused a difficult shot. The Notre Dame ball handler, again, forgive me, I don't remember who it was, missed the shot. Then Harrison Ingram was able to kind of save it back in bounds, and Carolina was often going the other way. What a savvy move by a freshman to be able to do that, to be able to not foul, and to be able to still be disruptive enough to recognize, look, I just got to get big and stay big. There was another play in the second half where Elliot Cadeau was on defense, and this one was closer to the baseline. I forget exactly what happened, but he was able to stay in front of the ball handler and basically just tied it up, just took his hands out and wrapped the ball carrier up, or the ball at least. And I remember they fell down on top of each other. It was a jump ball, and I don't remember who got possession, but just getting in there and doing things like that, let's not overlook how important those kind of plays are. Well, Pat, here's another thing that contributed to Carolina pulling away. Was we talked about defense. Let's go to the other side and look at the offense. There were 3 runs in particular from this game that just stood out to me as being bonkers. The first of which was the one that Jim Boeheim couldn't stop talking about on the broadcast of the game. Carolina's up 18-16. Armando misses a dunk on one end. Markus Burton pulls up in transition when they got a 2-on-1. Instead of trying to get the assist for the layup to tie the game at 18, he misses that 3. And what happens? Of course, this always happens. On the other end, RJ hits a 3. So instead of a tie game, Carolina is now up 5. And that is the first 3 points of an extended 20-5 run for Carolina. And so instead of a tie game, it ends up being a 17-point lead as part of that. But then in the second half, Pack, Carolina put together 2 separate runs of 16-0 or better, literally right out of halftime. The halftime score was 41-25, already a great lead for the Tar Heels. Cormac Ryan hits a 3, was the first scoring of the second half. and Carolina goes on a 16-0 run, turning that 41-25 into 57-25, more than doubling up Notre Dame. Notre Dame didn't score a single point until there was only 14 minutes and 35 seconds left on the clock, and that was free throws. Their first field goal didn't come until 13:59 left on the clock. And then the other one, Carolina had gotten the lead up to 32. You expect the game to get a little sloppy at that point, right? Like, that's just the nature of being up that big. Notre Dame cuts it all the way back down to 20 at 66-46. From there, Carolina went on an 18-0 run, Pack, and Notre Dame only scored 5 more points the rest of the game. That's it, and that's all. Carolina wins. What does it show you about, look, this is a Notre Dame team that had only surrendered 80 or more points twice this season. Carolina gets up to 84. Could have had more if they wanted to, but they called off the Dogs. Being able to have these kind of runs against this type of defensive team, what does it say about the Tar Heels?
Well, for one, it says we're shooting the ball pretty dang well. And we did. But I think it just shows the versatility of our offense. Just the way we can play in transition, which has been great, but also the way we can get points from different people at different times, and that's just so the versatility of how we can run our offense, how we can score, makes us really dangerous. And then you couple that with the way Notre Dame was playing. I felt they had a lot of quick shots, they had a lot of bad shots, and Carolina just took advantage of that, which is what good teams do. They take advantage of that, and Carolina did, and it led to these big runs that we're talking about now.
Well, and I think part of that, and this is the last point I wanted to make, one of the other things I said in the Four Corners preview for today's game, or for Tuesday's game, was that Carolina needed to take big advantage of the experience that they had versus Notre Dame's youth. Carolina, they started all these old heads. Notre Dame starting 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores. And that came into play in this game. And you saw it just as you were talking about, Pack, with Carolina not beating themselves, while meanwhile Notre Dame was. Great stuff there. Now, Pack, in addition to the general defense we've talked about, one of the most important things Carolina did was shutting down presumptive ACC Rookie of the Year Markus Burton, plus more great offensive balance from the Tar Heels. You love to see it. The rest of the Four Corners recap, the Shady and Kilby stats of the game, all coming at you in just a second. Right after I tell you this episode is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits to LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. Plus, with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, Four Corners recap time. Isaac Shade, Pat Kilby here with you. I'm going to start, and then Pack will do number 2. Number 1 in the Four Corners recap. We talked about the defense already, but I want to hone in a little further on this and talk about Carolina's defense on Markus Burton. He's Notre Dame's leading scorer, one of only 2 fighting Irish that average double digits per game. He's at 17. In this game, just 9, little more than half of his season average. Just 3 of 11 from the field, 0 of 3 from deep, 3 of 4 at the free throw line. He did have 4 assists, but he also had 4 turnovers. I can live with that performance, Pat Kilby. Making someone else beat you is what Carolina was working to do. Markus Burton, he's a little guy, 5'11", but man, he is a blur, Pack. He was getting anywhere he wanted on the court for a while. And then Carolina finally was like, nah, none of this. You talked about RJ's defense earlier. I thought he had some great defense on Markus Burton. Seth Trimble, I loved getting his length onto Burton. One of the critical things, there was a play that stood out to me, Pack, and I know I'm just curious your thoughts on this one as a coach, where RJ was on Burton. He saw that the screen was coming, so he pushed up on him. He had been, some separation. He pushed up on him so that he could get through the screen if necessary. And then Burton tried to spin. RJ pokes it, takes off for the transition layup on the other end. As a coach, man, how great is that to see just that one-on-one individual defensive play?
Yeah, it's definitely encouraging. I mean, those are the plays that you love. And those are the things, too, that really, I mean, you can't really teach those. That's just instinct and want to and having some dog in you. And RJ's got plenty of that. And so,
got that dog.
Yeah, he does. And he took advantage of it. And so those are plays that are fun to watch, though. And I think you were right. I think Seth's length and just his overall defensive ability really bothered Burton. And that's a perfect segue into point number 2 because it's the bench play and what we got from them defensively, but also what we got from them scoring. We had 19 bench points. 10 of those went to Jay Wash and his big shooting night.
Yeah.
6 went to Seth. 3 went to Jae'lyn Withers. The efficiency is really key here, too. We got 19 points out of them on 8 of 12 shooting. So we were super efficient from the field. 5 rebounds for Jay Wash, which is big time, and 2 offensive rebounds for our guy Woj coming off the bench there. But I just thought the bench provided so much tonight. The lift, the shooting, the 2 threes from Jay Wash, like we talked about. Seth's defense off the bench is always a big boost, and they were a big time difference maker for us.
Man, you love it. And by the way, when we're obviously the bench is different on senior night. So when we give those bench points in that 8 of 12 shooting, we're just meaning those 3 main bench guys, Seth and the Jae'lyn. So right with you, Pack. I love to see it. And we haven't even talked about Armando's threes yet, dude. I look, let me ask you this really quickly, and I know we need to keep going. Do you think, because that second 3 that Armando made was right out of the under 4 timeout, Armando made that 3, and that was when the parade of getting those guys off the court started. I haven't listened to Coach Davis's post-game or Armando's comments post-game yet, so they may very well have talked about it. Do you think that play was drawn up intentionally for Armando to get one more 3 shot?
I'm going to say probably, yeah. I think Armando was probably going, hey, let me get one more up.
That's right.
And Hubert's going, hey, that's the least I can do, man.
That's right. Look, I love it. Forever, Armando Bacot's final shot attempt in the Smith Center will be a made 3-pointer. Of course, that's how we went out. All right, number 3 in the Four Corners recap was Carolina's, once again, offensive balance. Pack, this is something that people have been talking a lot about lately after RJ's 42-point performance, but when nobody else scored double figures. My thing has consistently been, but Carolina had 4 different leading scorers in 4 straight games. The offensive balance is there at the big picture level, but in the last 2 games, both Saturday against NC State and now here, Carolina has had great balance in game. In this one, 5 different players in double figures, led by RJ's 22. You also had 14 from Armando, 14 from Cormac, 11 from Harrison to go with his 14 rebounds, double-double. And then, as you already mentioned, that 10 from Jalen Washington. So Pack really encouraged to see that offensive balance. And as part of that, let's not miss how RJ has been working as a playmaker distributor alongside Elliot. He had 6 assists and just 1 turnover in this game. That is now 6 of the last 9 games. RJ has had at least 5 assists, Pack. You love to see that from your superstar. What's number 4 in the Four Corners recap?
Well, to round us out, we've got the rebounding battle. UNC had 47 total rebounds, 15 offensive, 32 defensive, to Notre Dame's 39 total, 12 offensive, 27 defensive rebounds. So a +8 advantage for the Tar Heels. We had 3 of our offensive rebounds on free throw attempts. So the classic Carolina basketball right there. If you know, you know. 19 straight winning the rebounding battle, 19 straight games, which is every single ACC game, and 26 of our 30 games this season we have won the rebounding battle. So obviously that's become a big time focal point to what we do and how we play, and we executed that out again tonight.
You love to see it, Pack. All right, let's get to our shady stat and Kilby stat of the game. The shady stat of the game was Carolina's turnovers. The Tar Heels had just 6 in this game. And Pack, that's all the more impressive when you remember that the Tar Heels had turnovers on 2 of their first 3 possessions of this game. It looked like it could be a long night in terms of turnovers, but Carolina only committed 4 more across the rest of the game. Consequently, Notre Dame, by the way, committed 12 turnovers. Tar Heels led points off turnovers 18-3. Pat Kilby, there's a shady stat of the game for you. What's the Kilby stat?
30 points in the paint. And, the reason I went with that is just because I thought, even in the modern era, the game is still played from the inside out. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be post touches. And it wasn't tonight. I think only 4 of Armando's points came around the basket. The rest were threes and free throws. So our guys were doing a really good job of getting to the rim and playing from the inside out, 30 points in the paint. And we won by 33. So, that was a big difference for us. And I love the way we were attacking.
Last word as we're getting ready to get out has just gone final. I'm literally watching it behind the camera here as Pack and I are talking. Georgia Tech has won at Wake Forest. I know that stinks for ACC stuff because Wake might not be getting in now. And it also doesn't help the tiebreaker scenarios if Carolina doesn't beat Duke Saturday. But that doesn't matter because what does matter is Georgia Tech getting this win should help keep Carolina's loss at Georgia Tech in quad 2 territory. And that is much more important than any ACC tournament seeding, that loss is quad 2 instead of quad 3, because that matters in a big way on your resume. Why? Arizona, for example, has a quad 3 loss. If Carolina doesn't, there's a separator for you between Caleb Love's brand new team and his old team. So, Pack, that's a big deal. Great win for Georgia Tech, who got another last-second victory. Good stuff there. Man, I think Damon Stoudemire is the real deal. I'm glad he's part of the ACC. Folks, that's it for today's episode, man. It's been good to be together celebrating a Carolina senior night victory, and what a victory it was. Coming up the rest of the week, we got lots of great stuff for you as we get ready for Saturday's matchup at Duke. Andy Bagwell, the co-author of Duke Sucks and Duke Still Sucks, joins me for a bonus episode tomorrow. Coach Rob will be with me on Thursday as well. And then Friday, we'll have an episode getting ready for the Duke game. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, you got to come join us. It's incredible. Got to get ready for the Duke game. If you're not in, you need to come get in. The link's in the show notes, free to join. If you're not subscribed, please come subscribe. YouTube and on audio, you won't be sad about that. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button so we know that you are here. Y'all, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.